Hi Jo.
Hi.
So you've just had Mabel,
I have.
who's your third baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely to have you here. Thank you. So how did you feel about birthing when you fell pregnant with Mabel?
This time round, being my third pregnancy, I thought that I would feel really calm, but I was a little bit nervous. Probably just on the back of my second labour and having some complications with that. So yeah, I felt
Okay.
a little bit of anxiety and a wee bit nervous about giving birth.
Okay, and where did you, what was your birth plan? What did you aspire to for your third?
Originally,
birth?
I would have liked to have given birth to her at home, which is where I had my son. But with a few complications through this pregnancy, I was advised to have her in Aberdeen. So it was, my hands were kind of tied slightly about what I could plan.
Okay, so as you were then preparing for a hospital birth, what did you do to prepare you for that then?
Probably, well, physically, like I did my meditation and yoga and things like that, which I think helped alleviate some anxiety that I perhaps had about going to hospital. I just feel calmer at home, so that was why I had always wanted to be at home to give birth. But when I then had to go into hospital, I thought, well, I have to deal with this. So just preparing myself to be in a different place than I had originally wanted to be.
And were you able to make the hospital setting feel a bit more like home? Was there anything that you did to...
I didn't this time round just because she arrived so quickly. But I'm sure you could have. I couldn't fault the hospital staff at all. And my midwife that I had was really calm and lovely, and that was labour ward, so it didn't feel that medical, which I think sometimes you can think that it's going to be very clinical and very medical. It didn't feel like that at all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And how did your birthing actually play out then? Can you tell us a bit about how it all unfolded?
Yeah. I actually went in at 41 weeks pregnant for reduced fetal movements late at night, one night. I just wasn't happy with how much I'd felt her move that day, and I thought, I need to phone. You know, you have to go with your gut, is what I've always said. Mm-hmm. So I phoned and went in, and basically when I sat in the car to go into town, into Aberdeen, I kind of went into labour and started contracting at a more regular pace. So I think I let myself relax at the fact that I was making the journey into the hospital, because that was probably one of my biggest worries, was when do you go to hospital? Because although I've had 2 children before Mabel, I'd never had to actually make that decision myself. Poppy, I had most of my labour at home, was meant to be a home birth but got transferred in by ambulance, and Rupert I gave birth to at home. So everyone would think that I would know when to go into hospital, and that's what I was worried about.
Yes.
Do you go too early and you get sent back? Do you go too late and you end up having a baby in the car? Was I going to have a long labour, a short labour? So I wasn't sure. So anyway, when I got in the car, I started contracting at a more regular pace. Went in for reduced fetal movements, was on a trace, they were happy with that, and basically my labour just progressed at quite a fast pace, I guess. And then barely made it round to the labour ward into her room, and then she arrived. So it was it was good.
Good. And did you was there any technique or anything that you did in particular that helped it all move along so smoothly and at a good pace?
For me, when I'm in labour, I go very inward, and I like just to be in my own bubble, my own headspace, and that makes me feel protected. I've already prepped Ali, my husband, as to my wishes or what I want to get across if I feel I can't speak, so we've gone over that before I'm in labour every time, so that he can be my voice almost, and I'm just concentrating on breathing basically. And maybe for all of them, for all my births, I'll have planned to do one way, like planned a breath I'm going to use at that time, but then when you're in labour, it's something completely different, and you just do that and concentrate on that. And that massively helped things probably progress smoothly and calmly. So.
And do you think that you're attending the pregnancy yoga class and practicing the yoga as you did during your pregnancy helped you have those techniques to pull on?
Yeah.
So that you could pick the ones that you needed at the right time?
Massively, because you get a chance to actually practice them. Perhaps different if it's your first pregnancy, maybe you do have time at home to really sit down and say, I'm going to practice these breathing techniques. But for me, being my third child under the age of 4, the only time I really managed to put all my effort and energy into concentrating on my breathing and what techniques I may want to use was at yoga when I went, once a week. And that allows you to become confident with them so that it becomes second nature. When you then are in labour, you're not thinking, oh, well, what breathing technique will I use? It's just, this feels right at the moment. I know this one. I can use it because it feels good with what's happening in my body.
Yeah, that's nice. It just helps you tune into what you need at the right time without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging aspect of your birth, and how do you think you overcame that? Because you obviously did, because Mabel's here now.
I think I probably had a bigger worry than I realised about Mabel getting stuck.
Okay, because that's what had happened previously.
That's what had happened
Rupert.
previously. And I maybe hadn't given myself or that situation enough credit for how much anxiety I was holding on to about that. At the time I just thought, well, Rupert arrived, he was here, yes, he got stuck, but it was fine. But actually I think I did have fear about that happening again. And the help of my midwife in that last minute where I thought, I had decided I would like to have pain relief. I'd left it too late. She was coming, and I had a last minute panic of, but this baby's going to get stuck because that's what I know. That's what happened before. And she just very calmly said, we know all this, Jo. We are prepared for this. If this happens, we're prepared for that. If it's going to happen this time, you have nothing to worry about. And at that point I thought, come on, Jo.
Yeah.
Get yourself together. Just get back in your breath, take a minute I've acknowledged, so I've said it out loud. I'd acknowledged that I had that fear. I voiced it to the people in the room. They know I'm worried about that. Let's get on with it.
So just that gentle encouragement and reassurance kind of helped you tune back into your own kind of self-empowerment and the strength from inside you to keep going and just keep focused on what you're doing. Great. Looking back now, what was the favourite aspect of this birth?
Nothing.
What did you enjoy most?
Nothing beats when they pass your baby to you, really, for the first time and you can smell them. I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah, that's okay. Feeling emotional.
Nothing will beat that. It's a lovely feeling.
Yeah.
And because you feel strong and confident and you think, I've just given birth to a human being, and here they are. So it's lovely.
It's one of the most amazing things we could possibly do. Do you have any tips and advice that you might give to other mums who might be expecting a baby or have just had a new baby? Is there anything that you'd pass on?
In terms of preparing to give birth, I definitely think doing something like a yoga class or meditation is great, because not only will probably meet other like-minded mums, it is a chance, a space to share and to prepare yourself. Some people perhaps prefer not to know anything, but I think knowledge is probably key. You're not taken aback, and if you are, by the whole situation of actually being in labour and giving birth, you have practiced those breathing techniques, which are such a huge help and tool for when you're actually giving birth. So to practice things like that, to knowledge yourself before, I would say.
And what about new mums? Do you have any advice for new mums, maybe? Or is there anything that you've learned that you might like to share?
Yeah, I probably have found that sharing with other mums and finding like-minded people, you'll perhaps find one or two who have similar babies and similar opinions or parent the same way as you, but you won't always be that way with everyone you meet. And also perhaps there's several apps that you can follow, and I've just found that they're maybe generic, and that isn't the same. We're all different, our babies are all different, and to not compare yourself to those, because they can have a negative effect then on the way you think, well, my baby should be sleeping for X amount of time, or I should have fed at that time, which isn't necessarily the case. So go with your gut and interact with people perhaps, rather than
rather than relying on technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, lovely, thank you.